Audio check, 1, 2, 3. One, two, 1, 2. Guys, I'm so angry right now. Literally, I'm fucking fuming. Right, that thumbnail that shows up on Discord, I literally put a fucking photo on it so that the thumbnail wouldn't show up. But for some reason, that old thumbnail, that picture of some GT5 Ginettas, is showing up on there. I don't know why it's there. I didn't want it there. Anyway, here we go. Lights out and away we go. And we're currently watching the back of the grid because the F1 game spectator mode is not that good. So we're still watching the grid at the moment. Oh, there we go. Right, we're picking up the front now. So we've got Joram coming down towards turn 1. You've got a couple of drivers looking to make moves here. You've got Tesla looking to the outside there. Toaster there holding onto P2. Oh, and there's a spinner. And AlphaTauri has spun it. That's the nuts there. He's lost it. And down to the back of the pack he goes. And Cameron and Aussie Albie have come together. They're out of the race already here. So we've lost 2 drivers from this race. We have 14 start. We've got 12 left in the race. But it's Joram here ahead of Tubster, followed by Tezamaza with Mr. Basil and Eggman. Big warm welcome back to Joram here tonight, making a return appearance here. Our 3-time champion. Or is he a 4-time champion? I can't remember. I think he might actually be a 4-time champion. Apologies, Joram, if I got that wrong. No, it is 3-time. It is 3-time. But yeah, 3-time champion of the F1 League here at Joram. At Motive. So yeah, good to see Joram back out on track once again. Toaster in second currently, up with Tezamaza third, followed by Mr. Basil, and you've got Eggman in P5. It's Nino Blanco making his debut tonight, P6, ahead of Papa Squanch in 7th. Andrew Pittsmith running in 8th place, ahead of YouTube Freddy in 9th. And you've got Little Greavy in 10th place, the Mutts Nuts in 11th, and Matty Pitt currently 12th in this race at the moment. But not the start to the race that we wanted, but to be honest, I'll be completely and utterly honest with you, it's probably a godsend because it gives me a chance to actually warm up and get myself into this, because I totally was not ready there. I just kind of threw myself in because the lights were coming out and I was already a bit wound up about the whole situation beforehand, before we even got going. So I was just wound up. I don't know why that thumbnail was showing on the fucking Discord server. Literally, in the past, where you used to attach an image to a YouTube link on Discord, it used to show the image rather than the thumbnail, and now for some reason it just shows the thumbnail. I'm just like, I don't want a thumbnail of GT5 Ginettas to be on an F1 stream. I'm sorry, but I don't. But you know what's also shit? Is that on the YouTube Studio app on your phone, you can't edit a live video. You can only edit live videos on the PC version of the YouTube Studio. You can't fucking use the YouTube Studio. You can't edit live streams on your phone. It's just dumb, man. It's just fucking dumb. Anyway, who cares? Right, I don't care. I actually don't care. You might think I care. It sounds like I care, but I don't. I actually don't. But anyway, never mind. Safety car here. We've got Matty Pitt in the pits. Intermediate tyres, and I think that he's actually coming for the damage repairs. That's the main reason why he's come in, is for the damage repairs, rather than anything else. By the looks of it, you've got a damaged McLaren there. By the looks of it, Eggman seems to have a bit of a scraped up front wing, or is that just the McLaren the way it looks? I think that might actually be the way it looks. How have I never noticed that before? That's really mad. That's weird. Bit of a shame that we're down to 12 drivers, obviously, because we started with 14. Bit of a depleted grid anyway, to be honest, but I'm kind of getting used to it. I mean, we've got so many regular drivers in inverted commas, in case, obviously, because you can't see me, but I did actually raise my fingers there in inverted commas, because we've got many regular drivers who just don't really turn up to the races, unfortunately. I think there was 9 people said they couldn't race tonight. 9 regular drivers said they couldn't race tonight. Luckily we've got a couple of reserves jumping in, but if it wasn't for that, I think we'd be in some severe trouble. But yeah, it's a bit frustrating. It's quite annoying, but it is what it is. Few comments coming in, none of them particularly savoury at this point, so I'm going to just leave that for the time being. Apart from JR, who's commenting on the fact that you can change the thumbnail afterwards. Yeah, I know. I'm just annoyed that you can't do it during the stream. I don't want to share a picture of some Ginetta GT5s, if I'm honest with you. It's not really what I want on an F1 stream, and it just, obviously... Here we are then, ladies and gentlemen, coming towards the end of the safety car period here at Imola. We got towards the end of lap 3. We obviously had every single lap, barring the first, under safety car, but half of that was obviously under safety car conditions. I'm expecting it to peel at the end of this lap. We've got Joe Arm leading us around, the winner of the sprint race a few moments ago. Also 3-time champion here at Motive, making a reserve appearance here tonight. Doesn't race with us every round, but he's back here, which is absolutely great to see. And can he follow up his sprint win with a Grand Prix victory here? He's got Tobster pushing him all the way. Tobster making his debut here at Motive tonight. Did a good job in the sprint, and obviously he's right up the rear of our 3-time champion. Tezamaza right with these guys as well. Who's going to get a better start? Who's going to be on it from the word go here? Looks like we're underway once again, as here we go. So Joe Ram's already got a decent enough lead. Has anybody been sleepy off at a start? Potentially. Looks like there could be a move being shaped up here. Little Greavy all over the back of Freddie as they come down towards turn 1. Looks to the outside, but Freddie covers that move off. And for the time being, Little Greavy's going to have to wait a little bit longer there. Oh, and Joe Ram's made a mistake here. He's lost out to Tobster and Tezamaza. So Tobster up into the lead. Tezamaza moves off to second place. But wow, that was unexpected there. Joe Ram making a rare mistake. I don't know if he did his practice here tonight. It's a lot of drivers do say about Joe Ram. Sometimes you have a chance. If he doesn't practice, then you do have a chance of beating him, because he always does his homework and he always studies the track and potential setups and what lines he should be taking in certain conditions beforehand. But if he doesn't do that, you've always got a fighting chance. So Joe Ram there making a bit of a mistake. Obviously cold tyres on a wet track could have just been one of those things. We're all human, and this man included. But yeah, Joe Ram there dropping down to third place in that little exchange, or that little instance there. But Toaster leads ahead of Tezamaza with Joe Ram third. Mr. Basil running in P4 with Eggman fifth ahead of Papa Squanch in sixth. Nino Blanco 7th ahead of YouTube Freddy in 8th, followed by Little Greavy in 9th. The Mutts Nuts 10th. Matty Pitt in 11th, and Andrew Pittsmith did actually retire at the beginning of this lap. He made a mistake coming out of turn 2. No, turn 1, 2, turn 3, and then obviously after that he rage quit. But here we are anyway, coming up towards the line here to start lap 5 of the race. Tobster there, fastest lap of the race. Half of it was under VSC, but here we come down towards turn 1 once again, and Tezamaza's right on the back of him as well. Joe Ram waiting in the wings, waiting to pounce as well. Always Nino has lost out here to Freddie. Freddie almost made a move on him there. Freddie trying to come back at Little Greavy into turn 2, but Little Greavy's got that move completed there on Freddie. But Freddie's now trying to come back at him as they come down towards the Villeneuve chicane. Is he going to poke a nose up the inside there? Little Greavy holds it around the outside. Through Tamarello we go. It's still Little Greavy holding on to that 7th place for the time being. As into the next corner, you can see that the Mutts Nuts is attacking on the back of Nino at the moment. Nino on his debut here tonight at Motive, a racer at Purple Sector, Matty Pitt's lead. And currently weathering this storm here from the Alpha Tauri of the Mutts Nuts as they come up the hill, but for the time being there's no dice here between any of these guys. Toaster still leads. Tezamaza, Joe Ram, there's Mr. Battle ahead of Eggman, followed by Papa Squanch. You've got Little Greavy ahead of Freddy, followed by Nino Blanco, the Mutts Nuts, Matty Pitt at the back of the pack. But we're currently watching the leaders here as Toaster's just extending his gap a little bit over Tezamaza here. It just dipped over a second for a moment, and now it's dipped under a second again. Papa Squanch just got ahead of Eggman on the exit of the chicane, so Papa Squanch was there with a well, I assume a nice move up into P5. But we're going to stick with this battle here at the front because Toaster and Tezamaza are still reasonably close. But Toaster got a lovely exit out of the final corner, and Joe Ram getting a much better exit than Tezamaza there, and gets past him up into second place. So easy pickings there for Joe Ram. Now can Tezamaza try and come back at him, or can Joe Ram start to bridge that gap down to Toaster, who in the last lap or so has really put his foot down and has just checked out here and has said to Joe Ram and Tezamaza, right boys, if you're going to mess about and fight each other, I'm going to say see you later, see you at the flag. And currently he's got that gap, but how long is that going to last? That's the question. But Freddie in the meantime has got Nino Blanco on the back of him. Oh, and Nino's lost it, and he goes wide, and the Mutts Nuts and Matty Pitt both moving through into 9th and 10th places. Nino now out of the points, and needs to get himself back together and go again there. That was just a little bit of a mistake, a brief little lapse of concentration, easily done. Getting out onto the grass, and obviously in the wet conditions, getting on the grass is about 10 times worse than if it was in the dry conditions. In the dry, you could probably have kept your foot down and controlled it, but in the wet, you lose places and you lose time. But Toaster here still has got Joram on the back of him, but Joram's definitely closed in on him over the course of this lap. We can see it's well under a second now. It's about half a second between Toaster and Joram, and it's getting closer and closer here as we come down towards the bottom end of the circuit. They're going to negotiate this hairpin. Joram here looking all over the back of him as they come into the corner now, but it's still Toaster clinging onto this position by the skin of his teeth here. Can Joram get the run coming out onto the start for this straight here? He might be able to get a good exit. If he can, then he'll fancy his chances down the end of the straight. Here we go. Has he got the straight line speed here to get the move done? On board with the Red Bull, our three-time champion of Motive Racing's Formula 1 League. He backs out of it, and we've got a safety car. That's the reason why, and that is because Eggman has crashed out of the race. So we're down to 10 drivers here on lap 7 of this race. Eggman becomes the latest casualty in this one. So what a shame there for him, as Matty Pitt and Nino Blanco both taking this opportunity to bring it into the pits here at the end of lap 6. But Toaster ahead of Joram, the top two. We Tezama's a couple of seconds behind them to drop off a little bit over that last lap or so. He's running in third place, doesn't seem to have the pace of the top two at the moment. Mr. Basil in fourth ahead of Papa Squanch, Little Greavy in sixth ahead of Freddy, followed by the Mutts Nuts in eighth. And we see Matty Pitt come into the pits for a fresh set of inters again. Nino Blanco's stuck the wets on, so that's, to me, it doesn't look like a wet kind of circuit at this point. You can still almost see a dry line on the racing line, so I would say it's definitely inters. There's no chance that those wets are going to give him any purchase or any kind of joy at this point. In my opinion, that is totally the wrong decision there for Nino Blanco. He's probably rolling the dice. He probably is hoping or banking on a sudden downpour or torrential rain, which is always possible. But at this point, I think that he's definitely on the wrong tyres, and if things stay as they are right now, he's certainly made the wrong decision there. But Mutts Nuts on the back of Freddy, obviously, under the safety car, that will all change, that will all concertina up. But Toaster, Joam, Tezamaza, Mr. Basil, your top four at the moment here for this Emilia Romagna Grand Prix here tonight at Motive. Now, if I repost the link, let's have a look.
British constructor Harrods is maybe known as the most unsuccessful constructor with 0 wins after 383 attempts. That we are here today at the Emilia Romagna Grand
Here we are, guys. Apologies for the unfortunate turnout here tonight and the subsequent retirements here in this race, but we're getting underway once again for the restart. Toaster's going to get us back racing here at Imola tonight as we're over the line here to start lap 10. Jerome there has got a bit of a sleepy start. He's got a big attack here from Papa Squanch behind him. These two had a bit of a battle last season actually at Interlagos, and they've got a bit of history between them as we see Tezamuzza there making a move at the inside of Little Greavy up into 4th place. That's job done there for Tezamuzza. But Toaster's still trying to weather this storm here from Joram, who's putting up onto the back of him. They seem to be quite evenly matched in these wet conditions at the moment. Nino Blanco and Freddie both into the pits here at the end of lap 9. But Toaster's got himself a time penalty, 3 seconds worth of penalties for track limits. That's going to be a ball ache for him because he's now going to obviously get 3 seconds added onto his race time. No matter what he does in this race, he's now going to lose out, which means that all Joram needs to do is stick to the back of him and not lose him, and he'll basically get the win by just sitting behind him. But Tezamazda there getting back ahead of Papa Squanch. These two having a good little scrap here at the moment for the final podium places, but they're not really on the pace of the top two, who are skipping away into the distance here, Toaster and Joram. Looking at the background, you got Little Greavy just ahead of Batty Pitt, the Mutts Nuts and Mr. Basil. But that's the battle for the leaders. They're coming down into Ravazza here and out onto the start-finish straight once again. Joram closer and closer to the back of Toaster, but still a little bit too far back to realistically be able to mount a challenge, I think. And no DRS obviously in these conditions. It's too wet, it's too dangerous, it's far too slippery. Another safety car's come out. That's because Mr. Basil has DNF'd. So Mr. Basil here out of the race, and we're down to 9 drivers here in this race. It's really not going well at all. We're getting a safety car every other lap at this rate. This is really not what we wanted at all. Toaster leading ahead of Joram with Tezamuzza 3rd. Then you've got Papa Squanch with Little Greavy 5th ahead of Matty Pitt. Mutts Nuts running 7th now. Nino Blanco in 8th, and YouTube Freddy, the final runner at the moment, in P9. But yeah, it's been a catastrophic Emilia Romagna Grand Prix so far. I always struggle to say that name. But yeah, it's definitely, I think this is probably the worst case scenario. Well, I don't really want to tempt fate, but I can't imagine it being much worse. Neary says, want to bet if we will have 37 safety cars. That is actually scientifically impossible, because every safety car period has to last a minimum of 2 laps. And obviously each time it comes in, that's another lap. So in theory, the most safety cars you could have in one race at Imola would be 11. The most you could possibly have would be 11 safety cars in one race here at this track. At Monaco, because you've got 39 lap race, it would be 30. It would be 13 you could have in one race. Or if you did a full 100% race at Monaco, you could theoretically have 26 safety cars in one race. That would be possible. Although highly unlikely, unless you, well, put it this way, you'd run out of drivers to crash by that point. You'd have no one left to crash. So yeah, I mean, it's unlikely, but hey, it's not impossible. But yeah, currently we're here on lap 12 under safety car here at Imola for round 4 of the Formula 1 League here at Motive on the EA Sports Formula 1 game. Here on the PlayStation platform, we got Freddie there picking up a 3-second time penalty, and so does the Mutts Nuts as well. Both of them for track limits under safety car as well. So that's a bit bizarre, because obviously there is no incentive whatsoever to cut corners under the safety car. There's nothing to be gained at all from cutting the track when a safety car's out, because you're all at a restricted speed, you're all going at the same pace. It's just complete and utter waste of your resources. But Neary there saying it's Freddie. Yep. Well, hello Freddie, welcome along to you. Currently running in P8. That'll be why you're getting penalties, mate, because you're too busy commenting on the stream. But nonetheless, good to see you, and yeah, all the best for the rest of this race. There's a long way to go, and obviously with the safety car we'll all be Constantining up, but been a tricky one for Freddie so far running in P8, but as I say, plenty of opportunities in this race for him to get himself back into it. But we've got a 9-car race from here until the flag, which is a bit annoying, to be honest. I mean, I was hoping for more than 14 to join in the first place, but when you have numbers at this level of sparsity, and then you have so many people binning it. These kind of conditions as well. You've just got to be ready for this. You know, you've got to be prepared for the worst. But yeah, coming towards the end of lap 12, looks like we're going to have at least one more lap under the safety car. Hopefully it's only one more, as they're just coming around to start lap 13 now. Toaster at the head of the pack. Joram will be on his case, I'm sure, when we get going again. But how long we will be gone for once we actually get going again is another completely anyone's guess, because the last two safety cars we've had it come in within a lap of it coming in. We had it come back out again within a lap of it coming in. So it seems like no matter what we do, somebody is going to bin it, or somebody's going to make a mistake and trigger another one. Here we go then, about to get underway once again here at the end of lap 13 for this Emilia Romagna Grand Prix here at Motive Racing here at Imola. 9 drivers left in the race. Toast is going to get us underway once again. How long are we going to go? Can we get 3-4 corners in before somebody crashes? Let's see. Down towards turn 1 we come. Toaster with a clear lead. Joram there in second with Tezamuzza and Papa Squanch. Little Greavy there in P5 ahead of Matty Pitt, followed by Freddie. Nino Blanco and the Mutts Nuts running at the back. And we're through turn 3. And Tezamuzza's got ahead of Toaster up into second. Oh, Toaster's made a mistake. Joram and Tezamuzza up into 1 and 2. Toaster there doing what Joram did a few laps ago, dropping from first to third place in a couple of corners. Papa Squanch now looking to the outside here. But Papa Squanch has got Little Greavy looking down, hits the inside. Into the hairpin we go. It's tight racing in between them, and he's got a great exit there as Little Greavy. He's got ahead of both Toaster and Papa Squanch. Papa Squanch there tucking in behind Toaster for the time being, but Toaster has lost 3 places in just the first half a lap here of this restart. It's Tezamuzza who's ahead of Joram. So Joram lost out to Tezamuzza. Oh my goodness. Wow, Tezamuzza's gained 2 places on this restart. Fantastic stuff there from him. I know he loves the wet conditions here, and he's currently excelling here at Imola tonight. But it's Tezamuzza from Joram with Little Greavy ahead of Toaster, followed by Papa Squanch in 5th place. There's Matty Pitt ahead of Freddie with Nino Blanco and the Mutts Nuts running in at 9th place. He looks to make a move there on Nino, coming through the chicane, but can't get the run. He's going to get a nice exit though, coming out of the chicane, and he's going to have a look to the inside, surely going into Ravazza. Nose in here though, there's the Mutts Nuts. In the end, thinks better of it, and Nino Blanco holds on to that. Well, he's gone deep, he's gone wide. Did he get a tap? I don't think he did. I think he did that by himself. I'm not sure though, but I think he did that by himself. But the Mutts Nuts there up into P8 as we see Toaster into the pits. So obviously he was leading the race before this restart. He's now down at the back, so it's been a nightmare of a restart for him. But that is a scheduled pit stop by the looks of things. Putting some fresh intermediate tyres on, maybe banking on another safety car here, bringing him into play with those fresh tyres. It will definitely pay dividends at this point. Saying that, we've done barely any racing laps. We've done a few. We have done a few. We've done about 6 or 7 racing laps, so it will pay some dividends, but not an awful lot. But in the meantime, Matty Pitt is on the back of Freddie here as they're coming out of the hairpin. Up the hill we go towards the middle part of the lap, but at the moment it's still Freddie still holding on for that 5th place here. Tezamuzza in the meantime has gapped Joram by just over a second, so Tezamos is looking comfortable here in these conditions. I'll tell you that, he seems to have to measure everybody at the moment. He's doing a really good job here out the front. Freddie's just on the back of Matty Pitt. You can see only, well, just under half a second between them at this point. There's the Muttnuts running in 7th place at the moment, but they're all concertinaing up here in this battle for 4th place. Papa Squanch currently leads the train of cars. Matty Pitt, Freddie, the Muttnuts all in hot pursuit at the moment as they're coming down towards the final few corners once again here, but Papa Squanch is doing a good job here. He's actually pulled out a bit of a gap here coming through this final sector, saying that though it comes back down again coming into the braking zone, and out to the start finish straight we go once again, and you can see them all so tightly packed out, bunched up here, but Muttnuts here looking to try and pull out the slipstream. He's got a decent run here on Freddie, but Freddie seems to have the straight line speed advantage here, because even in that slipstream the Alpha Tauri is not getting any run there on the Williams into turn 1. Freddie holds on for that 6th spot for the time being. The Muttnuts can't make anything happen here. He's got better grip through the corners, but down the straights it seems like Freddie has definitely got that low downforce setup working for him at this point. Papa Squanch still running in 4th place, just ahead of this train of cars as they come into the hairpin. In the meantime, Tezamazo is still pulling out his gap at the front, just under 2 seconds here between himself and Joram, so he definitely seems to have control of this race at the moment. Just Tezza has been a really strong drive from him in these tricky conditions. So always Matty Pitt's gone around the outside of Papa Squanch there into 4th place. Great move there from Matty Pitt, but Papa Squanch is trying to get the exit coming out of Aqua Minerale down towards the chicane we go. He's managed to get him out on the exit there beautifully. Papa Squanch there back up into 4th place. Freddie's still keeping ahead of the Muttnuts by the skin of his teeth there. Papa Squanch has got a time penalty there for cutting the chicane. Matty Pitt back up into 4th on the exit of the corner as well for good measure, as here comes Freddie now attacking on the back of Papa Squanch as well, riding on board with the Muttnuts behind this battle. Freddie did on the inside of Matty Pitt. Oh wow, look at that, he's really going for a dive bomb there. Matty keeps it around the outside of Freddie for the time being. In the meantime, Little Greavy's got ahead of Joram. That's because Joram's in the pits at the end of lap 16, so coming in for a new set of intermediate tyres, feeling the pace a little bit. Now maybe it's the fresher tyres from Tezamazo that was giving him that extra pace, because he was pulling away from Joram by about a few tenths a lap, so that could explain that pace advantage that he had. Now that Joram's going to have those fresher tyres, he's got 16 laps to try and reel him in, or is Tezamazo going to obviously follow suit now, because it would make sense for him to do so, seeing as that Joram's going to have the pace, Toaster's going to have the pace as well. Also, one interesting thing to note, Toaster's still ahead of Joram after the pit stops, so these two still running in close proximity as they were obviously before, but it's going to be interesting to see where they can get to here, because they've got much fresher tyres, they're going to have better pace. How much better is their pace going to be? Is their pace going to be able to bring them back into this race from the deficit they've currently got? It's all to play for here, and there's a long way to go, that's for sure. But Tezamazo still leading this race at the moment, and he's got a healthy gap of around 5 seconds here over Little Greavy. Joram's now closing up onto the back of Toaster a little bit more than he was. Joram's got a 3-second time penalty as well for multiple track limit warnings, so that's going to be a bit of a pain for him. But Toaster's in the same boat here. Tezamazo still yet to pick up any penalties so far. We're not sure how many warnings he's got. I don't think there's any way that you can see on the F1 game if somebody's had a warning. So you kind of just got to wait for the thing to flash up on the screen saying that they've had their 3 warnings, and now it's time for a penalty. But Tezamazo's currently got a 5-second gap, and he's continuing to steadily extend that gap over the course of the race. Little Greavy's got slightly fresher tyres than Tezamazo, but I don't think he's got the outright pace or the speed in these conditions that Tezamazo has. I mean, we've seen Tezamazo in these conditions before. He just seems to enjoy the wet. I don't know, I remember a race at Silverstone, very, very similar. Had a battle with Bennett, and in the wet, Tezamazo was the quicker driver, and in the dry, Bennett was the quicker driver, so it made a really exciting match-up through that race, because it was started in the wet, went to the dry, so it really did prove to be a bit of a cracker. But I remember that race vividly around Silverstone it was, and it was Tezza who had the pace in the wet, but Bennett was quicker than him in the dry, and they were just sort of cancelling each other out throughout the course of the race. And in the end, I think Bennett pulled a move on Tezza right at the end of the race, took the win. But yeah, I mean that was a very exciting race. I remember that well. But Muttnuts is now ahead of Freddie up into 4th place as they're going through the chicane. So nicely done there from the Muttnuts. He can now continue to make progress here through this pack of cars. He's currently got a podium place. He's only 2 seconds ahead of him. Let's not forget that Muttnuts was actually in the championship before last week as well at Miami. Miami obviously went a little bit pear-shaped for him. He didn't go to plan at all, really, if I'm honest with you. I mean, he came into it with the ascendancy and the points, but everything just seemed to go wrong for him, didn't it, last week? He wasn't a happy man, that's for sure. And I think he's a little way adrift at the top spots at the moment, but if he can get it on the podium tonight, he'd certainly be bringing himself back into that argument bit by bit here. In the meantime, Joram with the fastest lap of the race, and he's quicker than Toaster at the moment on 2 lap fresher tyres. Not going to make the world of difference, but certainly will be keeping him in good stead. Is Tezamoza waiting to see if the rain stops and maybe the track dries out at the end, or I don't know what his plan is here, but you have to make at least one pit stop in Formula 1, so depends what the conditions are doing, but I think he's probably going to be best off sticking another set of inters on and covering off the other two. But at this stage he's probably lost too much time to them. I would say at this point now he's almost definitely going to come out behind them both, or at least Joram, so maybe he's just got to commit to this strategy at this point. Maybe that's his only hope. He has actually been into the pits already, so that mandatory pit stop talk was actually irrelevant because he actually came in on lap 8, but he'd have to go a long way on his intermediate tyres because he put them on obviously early in the race, so he'd have to do 24 laps altogether on those tyres if he were to go to the end on them, which isn't impossible, but they're going to be clinging on by a thread at the end of the race. I'm going to get the gaps so that it's the gaps of the leader. Oh, it's the wrong bit. That's the one. So Joram is 24.7 seconds behind Tezamoza at the moment. Toaster's 27.1. I think the pit stop lost time is about 25 seconds. So I think Joram at this point is within a pit stop of Tezamoza. Tezamoza's kind of missed his window, I think. He's now just got to commit to this strategy. He's got to hope that Joram can't claw in 2 seconds a lap, basically. That's got to be his aim. He's got to make sure that Joram gains less than 2 seconds a lap, and if he can do that, then he will take this race win here. But Tezamoza continue to extend this gap over Little Greavy, little bit by bit, not much, but definitely quicker. Mutt's running into pace. Can he start to reel in Little Greavy? Because he's managed to get ahead on Matty Pitt now, so the Mutt's into the podium places, and he's not a million miles off of Little Greavy either, and I think he might have the pace over him at this stage as well. So he's one to watch at the moment, is the Mutt's also on fresher tyres than Tezamoza. Joram in the meantime up into P7 has picked off Nino Blanco quite easily there by the looks of it. Nino not really fighting that one too hard. Joram's got the gap under 24 seconds here to Tezamoza now, so he's continuing to carve that gap down quite quickly here. Toaster currently matching Tezamoza, so there's no difference in pace really between Toaster and Tezamoza. It doesn't look like Toaster's got the pace here at this point in the race, but Joram certainly has. But I don't think he's got enough pace to get him at the end of the race. I think at this stage, if things stay as they are right now, I think that he will come up short by about 10 seconds, I think. He's not gaining by anywhere near enough at this stage. But lap 21 here of this Emilia Romagna Grand Prix here at Motive. Perhaps Squanch into the pits here, and so is Nino Blanco. So 2 more drivers coming in to change those intermediate tyres. Race leader Tezamoza still going on his 13 laps old, those are now. But looking like he's probably going to be going to the end on these. Got to keep an eye on Joram's times. So coming through into the hairpin at the end of sector 1, the gap is 22.3. So let's keep an eye on this. In fact, let's keep an eye on this when he gets to the start finish line, because that's probably the best reference point. You can have a consistent reference point then, so you're always working with the same values. But yeah, just 22 seconds the gap right now between Tezamoza and Joram. Tezamoza 7.5 seconds ahead of Little Greavy at this point, and continuing to just gradually eke out that gap. Here we go then, so start of lap 22, the gap is 20.4 seconds as they come into turn 1, so we've got to keep an eye on this, see how much he's gaining over the course of a lap. Joram's also got traffic as well, which will impede his chances of closing that gap because he's got Freddie right ahead of him. Freddie is on 12 lap old intermediate tyres. Oh, he gets it a little bit wrong there as well. And Joram breezes around the outside. Is Freddie going to fight him too hard here? Because obviously Freddie's got his own race here. He's not a lap car. Joram gets it around the outside, keeps his foot in there and makes the move. But that would have just lost him a little bit of time there. So we've got to factor that in when we get to the end of this lap. He would have lost a bit of time there behind Freddie. But I think he's now starting to really benefit from this extra grip here on those intermediates. Oh, bit of a moment there going through Ackerman Orale. Would have lost him a couple of tenths of a second. But a gap just dipping under 19 seconds here between Tezemaza and Joram. And obviously we've got to remember at the start of this lap it was 20.4. So Joram absolutely flying at the moment, coming out of the chicane, down towards Rivazza once again. He's gained over 2 seconds on this lap so far, and that was with having to negotiate Freddie as well. Into the final corner we go. Can he keep this sort of momentum here? We're going to get an accurate reading here as to how much he's closing in. We have got 10 laps left to go here at Imola, and he's closing the gap by 2.5 seconds a lap. So as it stands in this race, if he continues to keep up this sort of momentum here, he will be on the back of Tezemaza by the beginning of lap 30. If he continues on this momentum, but he's got to negotiate Matty Pitt first. And Matty Pitt, good mates with Tezemaza, he's not going to be waving him by, that's for sure. But here we go, Joram looking to the inside. He's going to make this move surely into Villeneuve. He does make that move, and he's up into 4th place there. Joram now can look to try and chase down the Mutsnuts, who's going to fight him, I'm sure, with everything he's got, because the Mutsnuts is currently in the battle for P2 with Little Greavy. He's closing in on Little Greavy lap after lap after lap, but Joram going much quicker than both of these two here. And he will be arriving on the Mutsnuts, and I'm sure he won't be wasting too much time dispatching him either. But Mutsnuts, as I said, in a battle with Little Greavy, that's going to get tasty as well for P2. It will be P3, because Joram, I think it's safe to say Joram's going to be at least P2 here in this race, the way he's going at the moment. But this is going to be for a podium place, I reckon, between Little Greavy and the Mutsnuts here. In my opinion, that's going to be the situation that we're going to have on our hands very shortly. But Tezemaza coming over the line to complete lap 23 onto lap 24. 9 laps left to go. Joram on this particular lap, let's keep an eye on the timings. It was 20 point... No, it was... What was it? It was 18 point... No, it was 7... No, it was 18.0. So Joram's not actually gained as much on that lap. At the beginning of the lap before, it was 20.4, so he's gained 3.8 seconds in 2 laps, which is an average of 1.9 seconds a lap. 16 seconds behind with 9 laps left to go. He's still on course to be on the back of Tezemaza, but not until the final lap. If he continues at this momentum that he was on that last lap, then he will be on the back of Tezemaza by the end of the final lap, or by the beginning of the final lap. So at the moment it's ebbing and flowing. The momentum shift. I mean, obviously Joram's closing in on him, but the amount that he's closing in on him by is diminishing at points, and then he's taking another chunk out of him, and then just lets off a little bit of gain. He's closing in quickly, but a 1.5 seconds is a gap to the Mutsnuts, who could potentially be a bit of a hurdle here for Joram. Also, because you've got Little Greavy now within striking distance of the Mutsnuts, and the Mutsnuts can be looking up the road. Always Little Greavy got it a little bit wrong there on the exit of the chicane. And the Mutsnuts will be smelling blood here, but Joram right on the back of the Mutsnuts here as we come down towards Rivazza once again. 8 laps left to go here for the Emilia Romagna Grand Prix here at Motive Racing, 4th season 6 here on the EA Sports Formula 1 game. Toast has made the move on Freddie. Oh, it's a bit close there, and Freddie goes wide, and Toaster there up into P6. Bit of contact there between the two of them, instigated a slight run wide there from Freddie, which has been unfortunate to see. But Mutsnuts still ahead of Joram here in this battle for the podium places. Joram trying to get a cut back if he can. Can he get the run down towards Tamburello? On board with the Red Bull here, looking to make the move, but he can't make it on the inside. Oh, he taps him in the rear a little bit there, and Joram almost lost the back of the car. He had to overcorrect that a little bit. He's going to look down the inside into the hairpin. Mutsnuts goes a little bit late on the brakes, misses the apex by a mile. Now Joram's going to get the run. He gets onto the power and gets the traction absolutely beautifully there. Joram there is going to move himself through up into P3, and that's an easy move there in the end from him. The Mutsnuts was not making it easy for him, but Joram up into 3rd place, and now looking to try and negotiate Little Greavy. But the Mutsnuts is now right on the back of Little Greavy as well, and that's going to be a battle for the podium places here at the end of this race, I'm sure about that. Here comes Joram though, on the back of Little Greavy, down towards the chicane we go. He's too far back to send it there. but he'll look to try and get the run out of chicane and maybe make a move into Ravazza potentially. Gets onto the power once again, doesn't got good enough traction here to make the move down the hill though. He's going to have to wait a little bit. Chance to make this move. As we're on to lap 26, 7 to go here at Imola, but the more time Joam spends behind Little Greavy, the more it's going to cost him in his fight to potentially close it on Tezamato. He gets a good exit though, coming out of the final corner and dispatches Little Greavy with relative ease. Joam up into second place. His gap to Tezamato just under 16 seconds. He's got to average about 2.5 seconds a lap quicker than Tezamato if he's to win this race. He's got a hell of a task on his hands, and I imagine we're going to see Joam throwing caution to the wind in the final part of this race. He's going to absolutely send it around Imola. Oh, he makes a bit of a mistake there, but holds on to it for now. But yeah, he's going to absolutely send it, I'm sure about that. He's not going to leave anything on the table now. Nothing to lose at this stage. He's a reserve. He's not in this championship. The only thing that's at stake is his pride, and Joel Murrum's not really... He's quite a humble lad, to be fair. He hasn't got much of an ego. I don't think he really cares about his pride or his reputation. He's not bothered about that. He just wants to go and get the win, and he's currently got the opportunity to do that here. He's not going to be worried about binning it into the wall and crashing out, trying to chase down a win. He just wants to go for that win, and if he can do that, then I'm sure he'll be a happy lad. But coming into the chicane here, we've got just over 6 laps left to go. Tezamato just coming out of the final corner and coming up towards the line, but there's Joam coming through into Ravazza. He goes. Tezamato starting lap 27, 6 to go here at Imola. Here goes Joam. Let's keep an eye on that gap, see what it is as they come over the line. So it's just over 15 seconds. So Joam, he'd have to gain over 2.5 seconds a lap just to be on the back of him at the end. I think maybe this has just gone a little bit beyond Joam here tonight. I think Tezamato's in for a win, and quite a comfortable one at that, if I'm honest with you. I don't think he's going to be troubled too much. I don't want to obviously curse him at this point. I'm probably putting the Murray Walker curse on you now, Tezza, and for that I apologise in advance. Or I apologise obviously if you're watching this back afterwards. Then you have my deepest and most sincere humble apologies. But hopefully it doesn't work out that way. Hopefully you're not listening. I hope to God you're not listening. Because if you are, then you will certainly be crashing in a second. But Mutt's Nuts here. Moves himself into third place ahead of Little Greavy. He was chasing him down obviously before they got passed by Joe and both of them, but the Mutt's Nuts there into the podium places, and that one's been coming for a few laps now. Nicely done there from Mutts, riding high in the championship points this season, and that will only go to rubber stamp his credentials as a top contender here for season 6. But Tezamato here coming out of the final corner once again here, starting another lap. Gap's coming down to Joam by about a second a lap, but a second a lap will doth butter no crumpets here for Joam. He needs 2.5 seconds a lap. If he continues to gain it a second a lap, he might just get the gap at under 10 seconds before the end. But saying that, Tez's tyres are 20 laps old now. Are they going to hit the cliff before we get to the end? That's the next question. That's the next big if here. Somebody's car alarm's going off outside, but you know, this is all potentialities at this point. Gap just dipping under 14 seconds here. 5 laps left to go here. Here we go then, Tezamato out onto the start-finish straight once again, still continuing to lose a bit of time here to Joram. Gap's come down by maybe another second, maybe a second and a half on that lap, but it's just not going to be enough. There's not enough laps left in this race for Joram to win, I don't think. I think it's game over personally. I think that Tez has got this in the bag, barring any simply monumental catastrophes in the final part of this race. it's going to be Teza Muzza. But yeah, no idea. So obviously as it stands here, Teza Muzza will become the first driver this season to take 2 wins, and it'll be back-to-back wins as well. Took round 3 last week at Miami. And so obviously we had Cameron take the first win, A. Thompson took the second win of the season. Teza last week looking to try and make it back-to-back, as I said here tonight. That'll be massive for him, for his confidence and for his championship push. Has never really had a full season here at Motive to focus. He joined late in season 3, I think, and season 4 he started the season, then he had to leave due to, I think, some kind of urgent personal life thing, and then last season was obviously still away. But this season has been in it from the early stages, from round 2, and he can properly commit himself this season to a full schedule. Is this going to be his season? Is it finally going to be the baptism of fire for Teza 7 Muzza here this season at Motive Racing? His gap just under 12 seconds. Joe, I'm still just chipping away, but chipping away is not going to make any difference to a 12-second lead. It's just not enough. He needs to be soaring away at that lead, and he's not doing that at all. But Toaster, in the meantime, he's had a quiet race since his pit stop. He's matched the pace of Teza since he came in for fresh intermediate tyres. He's had 7 lap fresher intermediate tyres since then, but he hasn't really made the gains that Joam has. Joam's 16 seconds up the road. They came out of the pits together, and Joam's just shot off. He's been about a second a lap, just over a second a lap quicker than Toaster has since they came out of the pits together. Joam's been fantastic, but Toaster in the meantime still has a chance of a 4th place here. I think maybe the Mutts Nuts is a little bit beyond him, 4.5 seconds up the road in 3rd. I think the podium might be a bit of a push, but nonetheless attacking on the back of Little Greavy here. Down towards the chicane we go. A little bit too far back to Sem 1 there. Little Greavy's going to hold on for the time being, but Toaster will try and get the run here. Down towards Ravazza we go once again, but Little Greavy getting a decent enough exit there, and will hold on coming down the hill for now. Toaster will look to try and get a good exit coming out of this final corner, because it's a long start finish straight. If Little Greavy gets a poor exit, he will be vulnerable down the end of the straight. Gets a little bit of a slide there onto the curb, coming out onto the start finish straight. Here we go then, Toaster in that slipstream now. He's going to pull out to the right hand side of your screen. Here we go, now the left hand side, as he's going to look down the inside. He's already passed him here coming down towards the braking zone. He's going to have the line. Toaster there up into 4th place. Job done there for him. Excellent stuff, but Little Greavy trying to come back at him here. Down on the run towards the Villeneuve chicane. Is he going to have an opportunity here to make it happen? No, he's not. And through Tamburello we go. It's Toaster there up into 4th place. Freddie in the meantime with a 3-second time penalty for multiple track limit warnings. It's been a bit of a so-so race for Freddie tonight, and that's putting it nicely, unfortunately. And I'm sure he'd agree with that one, but Teza Muzza in the meantime still leading the race by just under 10 seconds. Joe, I said, would be lucky to get it under 10 seconds. He's done well here in the final part of this race. Has been lapping about 1.5 seconds a lap quicker in the last few laps, but it's not going to be enough. Teza just had too big of a gap, and unless Teza makes a simply catastrophic mistake on his final lap, he will be the race winner here tonight. And he'll be the first driver this season to take 2 wins, and it will be the first driver also this season to take back-to-back wins. And he'll also be the first driver, I think, since season 4, I think, to deny Joram of a Grand Prix win. And the reason for that is because Joram's been a reserve for the last couple of seasons. Obviously a 3-time champion here at Motive, but last season was only a reserve. Raced I think at 3 or 4 races, but I think he won all of the Grand Prix he raced in. There was a sprint, I think he came second in one of the sprints, but all of the Grand Prix he raced in, I think he won every single one of them. But this will be the first Grand Prix since he became a reserve and stopped racing permanently. I think that Joram will have failed to win here, which is quite a feat on Teza Muzza's part. And Teza Muzza coming into the chicane for the final time. He's got just a couple of corners left to go here. took an impressive win at Miami last week. The safety car late on really did help him because he had fresh tyres on. He was able to just leave the rest of them for dead. His big rivals, obviously, A. Thompson and Senna, took each other out in the final few laps, which also left him with a bit of a walkover. This week he took a gamble to stay on worn out intermediate tyres, and it's paid off brilliantly. He's managed to keep it together. Tezemazza up towards the line. It's going to take a fantastic win here tonight at Imola. What a drive there in these tricky conditions. Well done to Tezemazza as Johan comes over to take second place in the end. Not too bad of a result there from our three-time champion on his substitute reserve appearance here tonight. Mutsnuts is coming into the final corner. He's going to hold on for a podium place. Another podium for the Mutsnuts. 3 podiums from 4 races here this season. He's having a cracker of a season, is the Mutsnuts. Toaster over to take 4th place in the end. And a little Greavy who will bring it home to complete the top 5. You got Matty Pitt here coming up towards the line. It's going to be a P6 here for him as he comes over the line now. Freddie will finish this one in 7th with Papa Squanch not too far behind him in 8th place as he comes up towards the line. And there he goes. And Nino Blanco will be the last driver over the line. Almost a lap down, but just about on the lead lap. He's got a few corners left to go. Unfortunately, we lost Mr. Basil, Eggman, Andrew early on. Cameron and Ozzy Albie took each other out on the very first lap of the race. Again, not sure what happened there, but I'm sure we'll get some kind of replay evidence on that one. But Nino Blanco up towards the line. It's going to be a 9th place here for him. And 2 points for his championship in his first ever appearance here at Motive. And that is that then, ladies and gentlemen, for tonight's action here. For round 4 of the Formula 1 League here for season 6 here on the PlayStation platform here on the EA Sports F1 game. So that is that then. Tezemazza with his 2nd win of the season, his 2nd win in a row. First driver this season to take more than 1 win. Joram and Mutsnuts completing the podium. Not sure what the championship's going to look like now, obviously, but I think Tezemazza will probably be leading it. I would have thought, that's a guess. I haven't actually looked at the standings now for a while. It was Tezza who was already leading anyway, so now he's a country mile ahead. But yeah, Tezemazza led the championship by 17 points last week. Papa Squanch was his nearest rival that's here tonight. He was 23 points behind him, and Papa Squanch finishing in 7th tonight. Mutsnuts moves ahead of Papa Squanch into 2nd in the championship. Mutsnuts now sits on 42 points, but Tezemazza well out in front, leading the championship on 76 over the Mutsnuts on 42 in 2nd. So big gap there between Tezemazza and the Mutsnuts, but a long way to go in this season. Papa Squanch I think is 3rd in the championship. I know for a fact he's on 37 points. We might be behind. No, Freddie's behind him. Anyway, I'm sure the championship standings will get updated in due course. But in the meantime, guys, please hit the like if you're on the drivers watching this back and you enjoyed it. And yeah, we'll see you for the next one. Take it easy, everybody. And